All right, we are live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. We are so excited to have you here today. Today's a little bit different. Normally, it's Allie that's sitting in the moderator seat, but I get the joy of doing it today. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Avery Bradford. I'm head of programming and events for Female Founder Collective and the 10th House. I also manage the North, which, if you are not familiar, the North is our one on one advisory marketplace. So, if you see any of our amazing speakers or advisors, people within our network, and you're like, oh, I wish I could sit across a table from that person and really get to know like their story, their areas of expertise. That's what the North is. The North allows you to have a FaceTime, a phone call, a Zoom meeting with the best experts from around the globe. So, really encourage you all to take a look at that. But before we get started, I want to introduce our guest today, but two, also talk about why we're here today. So today's guest is the CEO and co-founder of Female Founder Collective and the 10th House, as well as the North. Allie is also an angel investor. She's a former CRO, really anything partnerships and sales. She's an expert in. So uh, I saw that many of you who RSVP'd for today submitted questions ahead of time, so I'll be taking some of those at the end. But before I kick off with my first question for Allie, I want to lay some foundation of why we're here today. So, historically, hopefully, you all know what the 10th House is. The 10th House is Female Founder Collective's private membership community. And for the past couple of years, we've had cohorts where about every 2 months, we've let in a new industry. So, for example, right now we are welcoming fashion and apparel founders. And when you join, you're a part of this annual membership, and you are a member for a whole year. And that includes things like workshops and networking events, and getting you in front of investors through quarterly pitch events, downloadable resources, free replays, intros, really anything that you may need as a founder to get you started is what you get inside of the 10th house. And one of the things that we noticed through the many years that we've had the 10th house is there was a need for some foundational information, the basics of like, how do I lay a strong foundation for my brand, for my business, for myself as a founder, so I can make it past the 1 year mark, the 5 year mark, the 10 year mark, and have a business that is not only profitable, but that is scalable. And that all starts with some extremely foundational information, which is why now we have introduced FOM. And with that, I want to welcome Allie to the stage. And Allie, would love to hear from you what FOM is, which is Founders Operating Manual. What is it?
Yeah. So what you talked about, Avery, I saw to be so true. I love our founders, but oftentimes we're getting the same questions, the same pain points, the same issues that founders are coming up against. And the first thing that it starts with is your role as a founder. So many times we're asking ourselves, do I want to be the CEO of my business? Should I be the CEO of my business? Maybe you're a creative who started your business because you wanted to create this amazing product, or you're really good at product. So that's where you should focus. Or you might be somebody who has a service business and you had a real talent with one particular domain of expertise. And so now you want to build a career on it. And so you should be able to focus on that. But are you necessarily good with your numbers? You might not be. So the first exploration is really around your identity as a founder. What is your role within the business, and how are you going to be spending your time? And so we really are digging in on what that superpower is. The other common things, pain points that we see are around numbers, right? It might not be something people realize, but at the end of the day, they're not clear on what their goals are. And if you're not clear on what your goals are, how can you get anywhere? It's like getting into a car without having a map and not having a destination. You're just going to be driving aimlessly and wasting gas. So that's a really important thing, is establishing benchmarks for yourself and for your business. And then the third thing is really about financials and forecasting. so many of us say like, oh, like I've had some experience with finance, or maybe you're holding up a Google Sheets where you're keeping track of your numbers. Please do not do that. It is unsafe for you and for your business. Even if you do have financial expertise, maybe that's the thing that you want to hold the most tightly. And if you don't, if you have no background in finance, everybody should be able to manipulate and drive their finances, but you don't have to be the owner of it. So we kind of go through that and get everybody comfortable with how to drive their business forward financially. And then, of course, go to market strategy, everything from using your brand to how do you attract customers and how do you do that in a scalable way, not just one time, but ongoing. What's your methodology? How are you allocating finances? So it's like the four sort of main things that we see all the time are the biggest issues and roadblocks to clarity. We actually created systems around so that founders, you'll be able to take these and implement them into your business. And what I'm so excited about too is if you were to do these separately, you would be spending so much money. And you shouldn't be, if you're, even if it's not with us, you should not be running your business without knowing all of these things and having these systems in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to distill what you said, it's FOM is a 4-week accelerator program. And it is now you have, a couple of different ways to access it. I saw people who are already members inside of the 10th house were asking, hey, I'm already a member. Do I need to sign up for FOM? If you are a member of the 10th house and your membership goes through March of next year, then you get access to FOM. So it's a really great resource for those who are already members of the 10th house. And you will automatically be placed inside of this if you are a consumer founder. So something to be aware of is that the Founders Operating Manual Accelerator Program is based on your industry. So right now we're really focused on bringing in consumer founders and serving them. And we'll talk a little bit about the people who are going to be serving you as your advisors and your experts. But this 4 weeks, yeah,
Can I
yeah,
speak to why we're doing that, by the way,
yeah,
everybody? First of all, you want the community around you, of course, of other founders that can help you, almost like a Waze journey. They can actually help you answer questions or provide resources that are relevant for your industry. But also importantly, when you're coming up with what are the KPIs for a business or key performance indicators, like how am I benchmarking success? You're going to really want other founders that are in there that can give you insight on the landscape of how are they measuring success? How are they looking at what are the metrics in their business? And also, what is a market average, right? Like if you have somebody else in your industry, say you're in fashion, and what does a normal conversion rate off of email look like? Is it 8%? Is it 2%? And having all of these other founders around you to give you a sense of what theirs are is going to really help you to forecast really accurately, which is awesome, which typically
100%.
takes much time. Sorry, I interrupted you, Avery.
No, not at all. Speaking of community, I want to shout out. I see some folks in the comments. Gasia from Los Angeles. We've got Jacqueline from New York. I see someone is says, "Yay, so excited for it." Um, Something that I was mentioning before is people were asking what are the different ways to access FOM. So right
Yeah.
now, and just so you know, um, you can when you sign up for the 10th house, so let's say you're not currently a member, you're considering it. When you go to the landing page right now, you'll see a couple of options. One is to join the 10th house. So you can become a 10th house member. That means you get the annual membership, which will kick off with this 4-week accelerator founders operating manual program. So it's basically a leap pad into the rest of the programming. So after those 4 weeks, as a 10th house member, every month you continue to get access to education, resources, and introductions that build on the foundational information that you learn inside of FOM. So it's basically a full year programmed program. And then if you're like, oh, for right now, I just want to commit to the 4 weeks, see how that goes. And then, maybe you decide to join the 10th house later. You can also just do the 4-week accelerator program. You can just do Founders Operating Manual or FOM. Or if you are, like you want to invest in yourself, this is something you want to commit to for at least a couple of years to come, then really encourage you to do the lifetime pass or the lifetime membership, which will include FOM. And by the way, we'll do this every year. So that means as a lifetime member, you will get access to FOM every year, or every cohort rather. Um,
Which
so
you should be going back through your founders
exactly.
year. This is like reviewing your budget. It is looking at your go-to-market strategy. Is the way that you're reaching out to customers and your channels, are those still accurate? Is your role as a founder still the right role? Who do you need to hire around you? So every year it's a really good check-in. Even if you have done it before, it's going to be so valuable to have that annualized.
Completely agree. I love Okay, we have people from overseas joining us today. Someone says everyone should join. It's such a great organization for female founders. I agree. Lynette says hello from LA, recovering founder and intuitive wellness coach for founders. Welcome. Allie, okay, so can you talk to me about who is this round of FOM for?
So right now it is for fashion founders, jewelry founders, apparel, basically the arc of fashion, but that includes, it could be you have an activewear company, right? You might have and the reason why we're doing that is because the business models are going to be most similar with those. And so when we're going through the financials, it's going to be easiest. We also have added other consumer like beauty and wellness to that as well. So if you want to participate, it could, again, fashion, apparel, jewelry, beauty, wellness products, basically most consumer, personal care, most consumer are relevant because we're going to be going through the different types of benchmarks you should be using for those types of businesses. We're going to have experts that are primed coming from those businesses that have built, scaled, sold businesses, raised capital in these types of industries.
Yep. And I see someone in the chat asked, is this right for food and bev? This specific cycle is not right for food and bev. We actually just did the Founders Operating Manual for Week Accelerator for food and bev a couple of weeks ago that closed. And so we will be doing that again in a few months. So keep your eyes out for that. Like I said, we keep it very specific to industries. That way we can bring in experts within that space. And it's so hyper specific to those goals and KPIs that Ali mentioned. To build off of the industries and sub industries that Ali mentioned, this is really great for founder led brands or brands who have small teams. Let's say you have maybe a couple of freelancers or one to five full-time folks and not a whole huge team yet, and you and a couple of people are doing most of the things yourselves. This is really great for people who are building D2C, retail, or omni-channel brands, or maybe are all D2C right now and want to make their way into retail or Amazon, things like that. And then this is really great for people who are wanting clarity, structure, and confidence on how to scale. So
Yeah.
very, very great.
Just thinking about who to hire alone, like
Yeah.
when I talk about figuring out your role as a founder, it's so that you can figure out what are the resources I need around me. And you should not be doing everything in your business. I hear so many people that are like, I'm doing it all. And I can tell you from multiple experiences in building startups that the times that I'm most stretched thin, it's like the sales all just start to plummet because I'm not able to focus and nobody else is able to focus. So figuring out who you need around you to really drive the business forward. And it's
Yeah.
worth the investment, by the way, too.
That'll be one of the um, pieces of the program is who should you hire next. One of the questions that we got too was around what the format of these sessions are, which I would love to discuss. So there are courses out there which you can press play anytime and sort of do on your own, and there's not much community around it. These are different in that they are live and they are master classes, for lack of a better term. And This means that they are structured workshop style sessions. So we are bringing in vetted experts, people who have built extremely successful brands, and they will kick off with, here is the blueprint. Here's the framework. This is exactly what you need to get this, section of your accelerator done. And then after that, they will give you a piece of homework, something actionable and tangible that you can take and implement within your business. So whether that be your one-page founder vision or your KPI roadmap, your financial plan, something you can actually utilize within your brand. And then there's also obviously time for Q&A with this person. So a lot of times after sessions, people are like, I would love to set up time with Allie. But we've built in that into these sessions. So you can actually ask this person personalized questions. So it's like, how does this apply to my specific brand where I'm at? Or talk them through your specific pain points, or, oh, I'm considering hiring this, but is this, the best time or the best use of funds? And really the key point of all of this is that you walk away with something really actionable. Allie, I would love for you to tell us about, and we can sort of go back and forth on this, about some of the leaders who will be teaching these sessions, one of them being Reshma Chamberlain. So if you could tell us a little bit about some of the
Yeah.
speakers, and we can go back and forth.
So Reshma actually used to have her own digital agency. So she drove digital transformation, e-commerce. She was responsible for building out CRMs and lifecycle marketing for a number of different consumer brands. She then used all of that amazing knowledge, and she went on to found a business called Somersault. You guys might be familiar with them. They have done a fantastic job of branding themselves as a very size inclusive swimwear brand. And I actually invested in Reshma, not because I necessarily felt like there needed to be another swimsuit brand, but because I wanted to invest behind her, because she was so intelligent and so planful in the way that she presented the business and the numbers that she was going to do. And by the way, she didn't hit those numbers. She exceeded all of these numbers and benchmarks that she had given. And that's because she was very clear on her founder role. She actually is not the CEO of her business. She partnered with somebody who had more of the CEO background. And she was like, I'm going to unilaterally focus on marketing because that is my superpower. And then she hired around her. She actually had no business. She'd never founded an apparel brand before, too. So she wasn't familiar with product and sourcing and manufacturing. So all of those things were new to her, but she's going to take her formula for building a brand and driving sales and conversions, and she's going to be sharing that with you guys. And she actually has this amazing toolkit for building your brand as well and figuring out who your ideal customer profile is. So I'm super excited about her, and for you guys to get to have that interaction with her. And then, Avery, did you have others that you were?
Yeah. A couple of others that are extremely impressive. One is Robin Ward. Robin is actually an advisor of brands like Tower 28, which if you wear makeup, you must know what Tower 28 is.
Tower right now.
Yep, same. Home Court, which is basically the home beauty brand, co-founded by Sarah Yankee and Courtney Cox. She's also the advisor of Ritual, Alloy Financials, Tala, all of these really amazing brands. So she is a leadership coach and advisor. She's the one who's actually going to be coming in.
These brands absolutely explode, going from zero to raising capital all the way to in the hundreds of millions. So she's a force.
She is such a force. People bring her on when they're feeling a little bit stuck and they're like, how do I break through and get to the next stage? So excited to have her speak. Another is Erica Moore, which she comes from Goop. She also has her own company called Farsight, which she is the CEO of, and they do fractional accounting finance, merchandise planning. So we
Yeah,
can
she
think of
was
anyone.
CFO of Goop for many years, so
CFO
she
Goop.
has a ton of experience. You may have seen her in Gwyneth's handles, like on plane trips and whatnot. But yeah, she's now using her expertise and helping out a number of different businesses as an outsourced CFO and accounting as well.
Yes, and so she'll do our financial planning week. And then we finally, last but not least, we have Sapna Shah, who we actually did a LinkedIn Live with a year or two ago, and it's still one of our most popular sessions to date. People go back and watch that replay a ton. She is such a wealth or fountain of knowledge. And she's an angel investor. She's a retail expert. She had her own accelerator program helping people get into retail. Just so when it comes to consumer brands, she's someone you want in your corner for sure.
She's touched all the greats basically, and she's invested in a lot of the greats as well. So she is a prolific investor as an angel, but then also she has a fund that she invests behind as well. But she just will get really deep in telling you exactly what you need to succeed at retail and also direct to consumer.
1,000%. Teresa in the comments said, I'm doing it all myself right now and I want to die. Yes, absolutely. This
You need
program is going to help you get out of that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who hasn't been there in one way, shape, or form?
I just want to state, guys, it's also not possible. Like I'm gonna
Yeah,
get like founder to founder here, but also just somebody who has built multiple businesses. When you're feeling like you are buried under the weight of your business, something has to change. Like that's you're not just supposed to grit through that. It means that something is wrong, that you need to get clarity, you need to cut things out, you need to hire the right people around you, and you need to figure out product market fit. All of these things are this can be your checklist of these are the things I need to realize, but you do need to realize it's not okay and it's not sustainable. So you do need to get yourself support in order to get through it.
agreed. Couldn't agree more. Allie, before I get to some of the audience questions that were sent in, can you talk a little bit about what makes FOM different from other founder programs?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing is it's operator led, right? We are pulling from this isn't just coming from us, at FFC. We are pulling from the best of the best people that we have seen get through the craziest odds, going through COVID and through the being through a pandemic plus going through tariffs. Everything has been thrown at them and they've been able to pivot, adjust, succeed. So we're bringing in operators that are not going to be giving you generic theory. They're actually going to be giving you tactical advice that you can put into your business, and they're going to be helping you get specific for your business. It's also stage specific. So it's more early to growth stage consumer versus it being late stage for scale ups. This is very specifically for those early stage founders. It's very practical, very applied. So you're going to come out having deliverables, not inspiration. Like this isn't theory that you're being taught and then you now have to go and figure out how you're going to implement this in your business. Like you are going to be walking away with specifics. You're going to know what your role is. You're going to know who you need to hire. You're going to have your KPIs established so that you can measure your business in a regular way. You're going to have some sort of forecast. You're going to have a high level 30, 60, 90 go to market strategy so that you're not walking away and saying, I'm still unclear. You're actually walking away and this is going to be implementable, if that's a word, I don't think it is, into your business ASAP so you can start growing.
Ooh, hold on. There. I couldn't get myself unmuted. Yes, and another thing too about this is it's very founder centric. So,
Yeah.
like you said, a lot of this is about your role as a founder and the people who are coming in, who are folks who either are founders or work directly with founders. And it's like you even mentioned Reshma. She's one of the founders, but she's decided her role within the company would be something specific. Like you have to talk through that and really understand your leadership style, your strengths that are going to bring the company into the next stage. So we really make sure that this
Where
is
you
done.
want to be spending your time.
Mhm. Um, okay, I want to get into, and for those of you who are attending live, I know a lot of you that RSVP'd, you submitted questions ahead of time, which I'm going to go through some of those here. And then if you have some now, you can drop them into the chat. Denise, I see your question is, would this round be applicable or eligible to beauty and wellness products? Yes, absolutely. So this is for consumer founders in fashion, apparel, jewelry, accessories, beauty, wellness, and that's beauty is includes things like makeup, but it also includes things like hair products or skincare products. You know, anything underneath that umbrella. Um, and then I want to make sure that I'm not missing any other from the chat, but please make sure to drop those. Continue dropping those. Okay, so Allie, I want to go through some of the questions um, that we got when people RSVP'd. So this one is from Cameron, and that is, what specific apparel benefits does the cohort hold? So if someone is in fashion and apparel, what would
Mhm.
be a reason why they, or what are some benefits of joining as well as the 10th house?
So for apparel specifically, the nice thing is you're going to have other apparel founders in there. So what I was talking about earlier with benchmarks, you're actually going to be able to figure out like what should my cost structure be, right? Like am I getting a good deal with my factories? You might even be able to figure out like should I be sourcing in a totally different way that I am right now? When we talk about tariffs, right? A lot of apparel founders are up against the battle for tariffs unless you're totally sourced here. And you're going to have other founders that are also going through that. And you're also going to be taught again by these advisors that have gone through this and so understand the economic landscape and the broader issues that you have at play. The other thing is in addition to the benchmarks, is figuring out your go to market strategy, right? Like, how are you marketing your business? What's working for other founders in apparel right now? You know, are you able to sell things as well online, given it is a try on product? Or should you be doing a bunch of pop ups or sort of community meet and greet? So it's having the knowledge going through all four modules, but alongside other apparel founders that can give insight into some of the numbers that they're seeing, some of the sources that they're seeing and resources that they're seeing, et cetera. So that context is super important.
Absolutely. I see a question just came in through the chat, and that is, I am in the 10th house tech cohort, but I am in beauty tech. Would I be able to join this new cohort? So I would recommend for you, most likely to be a part of our tech founders operating manual, which we did, I want to say, months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah. So if you miss that, then you have access to all of those replays, all of the downloads, the homework, the action items, those deliverables. Those are inside of Circle for you, inside of the 10th house for you. If you cannot find them, you can just DM me or email me, and I'll point you in the right direction. But I would recommend going and participating in the tech one that we just did, which we'll do again the next tech cohort. But if you think that the consumer one could be beneficial for you, let me know, because as a 10th house member, you get access to FOM. So just let me know. But I think the tech one would be a little bit more beneficial. Allie, we got a couple of questions about the stage of business that this founder's
Yeah.
operating manual is best for. Someone said, is this relevant for me if I'm pre-rev? Someone else asked, just what stage is this best for? Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that?
So I would say like it is relevant if you're pre-rev. I wouldn't come in with just an idea because like a lot of the things that we're sorting through from yes, it's important to have benchmarks when you're at idea stage 2, but when you're talking about go to market strategy, in some of those cases, you might not, it might be almost too much information. It's a little too far along. If you're just starting out and you don't yet have some of these inputs that are going to be really valuable to understanding ultimately what your forecast should look like, or what your benchmarks should look like.
Mhm.
So I would say yes, but just it depends on sort of like how early pre-rev you are in terms of founders that are, I would say in the first, you're under $1 million. And I would say that you are in a place where you might be at 1 million and you're like, I'm confused. I've gotten to this point and now I really feel like I need to change my founder role. I really feel like I need to relook at my forecast and my model, reevaluate the way that I'm measuring success in my business, and reevaluate my marketing process, right? Like we actually kind of just did FOM on ourselves at FFC, and we are not in the under 1 million category. And it was super helpful for us to just readjust and get clarity and get more efficient. So I would say if you are a little further along, you can definitely join. I think if you're like 5 million plus, then you're going to need a little bit more sophisticated systems, and it's going to be, you're going to need a lot deeper dive into what your team looks like, and you're going to want to go down specific avenues of, okay, I want to hire this person, what does that look like, what is my org chart,
Mhm.
whereas this is more just what's my role as a founder and high level KPIs in addition to more sort of high level marketing strategy.
Yeah, yeah, and on that note, someone asked about, what are those tangible deliverables you're going to walk away with? And I think I mentioned this briefly before, but just to summarize, you'll get your founder vision. So that's something that you'll work through with Robin. You'll get your KPI framework, which you'll work through with Sapna. You will get your financial snapshot toolkits. So you'll actually have a financial planning tool, which you'll work through with Erica, and then your go-to-market roadmap, which you'll work through with Reshma. And then you also will take these things and then you have them to continue to utilize through the year and years to come, because as Ali mentioned, it's not something you do once. It's something that you should hopefully be doing every year, if not quarterly. And then, what about if you already have prototypes and you are fundraising? Is FOM going to help cover financial modeling and budget planning for seed round? So that's one of those things, Erica, where there during the session on financial planning, you can ask Erica about your specific scenario. So she will go through financial planning in terms of P&L model, you know, knowing your margins, understanding and managing inventory and planning for that. And then when it comes to hyper specific things to where you're at, that is where the fireside uh, Q&A portion becomes really handy. So
I think
um,
it is. This is
yeah.
an incredible toolkit. If you are raising capital, you should absolutely have already gone through this. If you haven't, you need to go through this because it's like all of the things that investors are going to ask of you, you're preempting them by having this information available. And I think you guys all know that if you are fundraising, you've seen that you have to have these financial models already. And we're not going to get as detailed as the financial model, but it's a really great way to stress test your model. So, for example, I've raised capital multiple times. And in that fundraising process, one of the biggest questions I always had was like, are my assumptions correct in terms of assumptions on conversion rates or average order value or average customer value or LTV or acquisition costs, like all these things that the more data you can get from other founders, the better. And that's another value of doing this together and going through this process together is everything's validated in real time.
Yep. We got another great question too, which now I've lost it about, I think it was timeline. So the program officially kicks off after the holidays. We actually kick off in February because we got feedback of I'm going to be in the mud and the thick of things through the holidays, and at the top of the new year. So can we not do this during the holiday season? So we heard you, and we're going to kick off at the top of the year in February. So we're really excited about that. And then let me go back to your questions, Allie. We are almost out of time. Megan asked, what is the time commitment? And on that, Megan, you will have 60 to 75 minutes each week will be live. So that will be that live session with your expert. And then there will also be the commitment of completing your deliverable afterward, which I would set aside anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. For the financial planning, that may take a little bit more time. For the founder vision, that may take a little bit less time. So anywhere from 1 to 3 hours a week for those 4 weeks. And then if there's anything that you can't attend live, or if you want to go back and revisit any materials, you'll have access to those replays too. Okay, I want to make sure I'm not missing.
I think that's the nice thing is, yes, it's live, but then you can also revisit things. If you're like, I'm still stuck on this, I want to rethink this, you can go back to them. And it also it's what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it with most things. And so it might be that you're like, I really want that founder session, or I really want to spend a lot of time on the financial forecast portion, but I'm like good on my marketing plan. I have my marketer and she already, or he has already sort of helped me lay this out. I feel comfortable there. I have clarity. So you can really invest whatever time you want and where you want it.
Yeah. One of the questions we got too from Jennifer was, do you have in-person meetups in New York? And I mentioned this at the top, but you have different options for participating in Founders Operating Manual. You can do it as a standalone accelerator or as a part of your 10th House membership and become a 10th House member. If you join as a 10th House member, you get access to in-person events as well. We have our FFC experts, which we host in New York and LA predominantly, but we also host them in San Francisco and Miami. And then you also have access to city sessions, which are really wonderful and happen so often in New York, where our members are getting together for co-working days and cocktail hours and yoga sessions, and mini panels and AMAs and things like that. So yes, there is in person.
Lots of in-person events in New York.
Yeah, lots. It's for 10th House members specifically. If you're not a member of the 10th House, every now and again we have something that's available to you at a cost. Like Female Founders Day is coming up in March of 2026 in New York. Which, Allie, maybe we should end on that note, is talking about Female Founders Day. But before we do that, any let's see here. One of the last questions, let's say, is this included for everyone who is part of the cohort? Yes. If you sign up for the 10th House and you are part of the fashion and accessories, fashion and apparel cohort, you get access to this program. I want to make sure that's clear. So, Allie, any last minute thoughts and wrap ups for FOM before we make our big announcement, which I don't even know if we've announced it publicly yet.
I don't think we have announced it publicly yet, but net, this is the thing I'm most excited about that we have done so far. It is a combination of years of us listening to you guys and seeing what are the biggest challenges that you face and how can we give you solutions and transformation on specific pieces of your business. And we realized it's these 4 things. And so we're so excited about this as the kickoff to 10th House, but also as a standalone, if that's something that you guys want to try out and get a sense of, okay, maybe I do want to do a year-long community, but I want to first try and see what this is like. Highly, highly encourage you to join. And our news is that our biggest event of the year, which is Female Founders Day, it takes place in New York City every year. in honor of Women's History Month, and that is going to be on March 5th, New York City. It's actually Brooklyn, technically. So, you guys, we will be sharing more information soon. So, stay tuned in your inbox. If you have not experienced anything with Female Founder Collective yet, this is also a great way to come and meet us in person and meet this incredible community in person. I feel like people that did join us in the very first years, which was 2019, they now come back. We have people come from overseas with groups. And so people come and attend together. People, get exposed, and then they enter the whole world of Female Founder Collective. So we are super excited about it.
Yeah, last year we had people come from Australia. We had people come from Paris. It was, I mean, and we have the best speakers, and our sessions are so nitty gritty in the weeds too. And it's an incredible day. It's my favorite day of the year. And someone asked too, just how many people are usually in each cohort. We have a couple of hundred people in each cohort. And you will have access to all of those people through FOM as well. So this will be your cohort that you go through the accelerator with. You all will introduce yourselves to each other. You will also swap education and resources. Yes, so it's a great cohort. And someone says it's one of the best events about Female Founders Day. I completely agree.
Oh,
Okay.
you.
We are right at time. Allie, thank you so much. Thank you everyone who joined us live. So
Thanks,
appreciate it. And if you are curious about the 10th house or FOM, I have dropped in the chat a link to each. So if you go to the landing page for the 10th house, you can navigate to FOM if you just want to do that program. Or like I said, you can sign up for the 10th house, and FOM is a part of that. And by the way, when I'm saying FOM, I mean Founders Operating Manual. That's how we refer to it internally, so I just keep calling it that. But Founders Operating Manual is a more elegant way to say that. Anyway, thank you so much, Allie.
Thank you, guys. We hope to see you inside. And if you also feel free to message me. I'm a little crazy right now, so I'm a little slow in the uptake, but I also have set aside some hours to get on the phone with you all if you also are still wanting to chat and learn a little bit more. So I will share that and follow up.
Yes. Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Bye.